welcome to Talking Down the Highway, a Beach Boys podcast presented by Strange Currencies Music. I'm Matt.
I'm Glenn.
I'm Tim.
Hi, Tim.
Hi.
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 Yep.
I don't get a hi.
Oh, hi, Matt.
Hi, Glenn.
Hi.
I thought we were feuding.
I'm just saying
something.
hi to everybody.
I was sitting off in the
Hi,
corner
Tim.
in the living room quietly.
I was over there moping. Being all emo.
I don't know why I was moping.
Probably has
but-
something to do with baseball.
Yeah, something.
I hadn't even started. Actually, by the time this episode airs,
It will.
the season will have started. Yeah. This is weird. We're like recording this before I've even edited down the last one that we did. It's
Nice.
a weird sequence and everything. We're recording them in bunches here. I suppose.
Banking them.
Yeah, just tossing them out there.
We're just like milking these, just like cranking them out like we're capital.
What was even? Oh, the last one. The Beach Boys were in Europe recording their famous album, The Netherlands, hanging out with Todd Gack.
It's called the Dutch. Who are the Dutch?
Yeah,
Todd Gack.
Todd Gack is Dutch.
Is he?
I think that's what they were theorizing.
I don't know.
Yeah,
It's a Seinfeld podcast now.
it is.
I don't get your Seinfeld jokes
No one does.
or your Simpson jokes. I don't know. That's all right.
Pretty lame, Glenn.
I am not
right.
cool enough.
Nope. All right. So what's been going on in your guys' world?
Any listener
over the
updates? Any?
We gained an Instagram follower.
Oh,
We're
just one.
At 124
Million.
Yes.
Wow.
Mr. Puglia. It's just also a Seinfeld reference.
Awesome. Good times. Good times.
And a woman named Mulva?
No.
Not really.
Bovary?
Oh, wow. Everyone's turned this off.
I know it's over. On to the next.
We picked up some Seinfeld fans. Or
Okay.
something. I think that's how it
sure.
works.
Yeah.
All right.
It's sunny out, and we're in
it
a
is,
dark
yeah.
garage.
It's like starting. This is a studio. Okay? It's a fucking studio. It's starting to feel like spring up here in the old Pack
yes.
NW.
It's nice.
Yeah, I don't know. It's live. That's what happens when you're in a dark studio live.
What?
I don't know. It's dark and it's dingy, and you need to be outside and live for energy. I don't know.
Dingy.
I don't know.
Well, there
This
is
is
light.
more cleaner and more put together than my house is right now. So,
Yeah, that's true.
It's cool down here. It's not that it's hot outside, but, it's nice and cool.
yeah.
I like it.
I don't know. I think this is presaging our topic for today. So we'll talk about the
Oh, I
difference
see.
between studio settings and live settings. But
I get it.
I don't know.
If y'all listen really faintly, you might be able to hear Bowie, the official dog of the Talking Down the Highway podcast. He's upstairs alone.
But he's like 2 levels up.
He is, but we also don't have any fucking floors to
Oh, yeah.
dampen the sound either.
He'll go right through.
There's a remodeling project going on.
Well, maybe you should, all of you faithful listeners should click like and subscribe so that Matt could get floor in his house.
so that I can afford a floor.
Yeah, talking down
If
the
we get
highway.
enough people to subscribe and everything, I could add another story to my house. Actually.
Oh, hey, what we have to do though is they have to listen on YouTube because that's
That
our
can get
best shot
monetized.
at monetizing, right?
Okay.
Now that we have our millions.
Yeah,
of
our
listeners.
Spotify listens are up quite a bit. YouTube ones are.
Nice.
It seems like the Spotify's really caught on more than YouTube at this point. But,
Yeah, it is what it is.
are you gonna do?
Hopefully someday we'll get Matt some floors and all will be good, and Bowie won't be alone.
Just rugs, just some rugs and maybe a big tent. That's
Yeah,
all
we-
you need.
Oh, maybe some sand. We could throw some sand. Hey, now's the time to do it.
A nice layer.
So if Spotify comes through, I mean, I heard Neil Young's getting back on Spotify
That's right,
at least.
yeah.
So.
Okay.
All right. All right. Well, let's take a quick break and we'll come back and talk about what we're talking about
I'm
this week.
exhausted. Yes.
Yeah, I'm tired too. All right. Well, we'll be right back. All right, and we are back on Talking Down the Highway. This week we're talking about the Beach Boys in concert.
In concert.
Concert?
Again?
Beach Boys concert? Didn't we already do this?
This is a more concerted effort. I don't know.
Isn't it literally the exact same title?
No, the other one is
that
the
was
Beach Boys concert. Or maybe not even Beach
Beach
concert.
Boys concert.
Or at
This
least
is
in concert.
In concert, yeah.
the Beach Boys.
Not to be confused
in concert.
with Live in London.
Yeah.
Which is
Okay.
different.
Yeah.
So this is their third live album, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, so I kind of skipped out basically on Live in London.
You did.
I was sick, and also I didn't care about it, and
You were in a whale.
I only listened to it once. I was in a whale and a cult in a whale.
Yeah.
And whatever. But this one I actually listened to a little bit more closely, and I think it's a lot better than that one.
Yep.
Yeah. And both. I think they're. I think they have. Well, there's no like cellos and shit, but it's as far as just a live rock band performance. I think it's pretty good. This is my favorite of the three so far, and plus, we're probably going to talk about this later, but very little. Chit chat.
That is, yeah,
Right.
that is one better element.
We're not supposed to be like grading it just yet.
Not
You
yet.
gotta
Not
save your
Not yet, but just
your
overall,
criticisms.
right.
I just feel like in general, I tend to find live albums to be
Oh, yeah.
kind of,
course,
inconsequential, if you will.
Oh
But,
dear.
I don't get it.
I don't know. I don't know. Are there live albums that you guys really, really are into?
Well, there's a couple, yeah. I mean, like the Who live at Leeds.
So I love the Who, and I want to really love Live at Leeds, but even that one I kind of feel like it's.
I mean, it kind of depends on which version you're listening to, because
Yeah,
like
the ones
obviously
like
there's the one with
Tommy performance and stuff. Those are
there's one that has literally like it's like 2 concerts and every single song is on there, and there's the one that came out on vinyl that has like 6 songs on it.
Yeah.
But the one that I think came out on CD, which is it's some songs and then Tommy and then some more songs. I think it's really good. I think that's just right.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't even think the whole Tommy is on there. It's like just highlights from Tommy.
Okay.
And then they've got like some covers that are actually really good, like their Young Man's Blues and Summertime Blues. And they do a quick one. It's a really good version of a quick one. Yeah.
I know that's always kind of looked at as like the great live rock album.
Yeah.
It's fine. Like for me,
whatever.
I want one with a little bit of like historical import generally.
Like the Miles Davis stuff.
Yeah, see that's the thing. Jazz, I think,
maybe.
there's a place for live music in jazz, or live recordings, I
Yeah,
should say,
for sure.
in jazz.
I'm thinking of like at Folsom Prison.
Yeah,
is
Oh,
great.
okay.
Like I think that's Johnny Cash's best album.
I don't know if I've ever
straight
actually
up.
heard the whole album.
And like and also San Quentin, which
Yeah,
he
it's
put
good.
out
They're
like the
both
last
good.
year is every bit as good. Like Bob Dylan's 1966 live
I'd have
one
to-
in Europe is amazing.
I'll have
like
to
where-
listen to that one, because in general, the live Dylan stuff I've heard I haven't liked. Because he just fucks with the song so much.
He does, and I kind of feel like there's a comparison maybe between that and some of these songs as well
True.
too. I like live Dylan of again like so this was the Going Electric tour,
Right.
You know, it's called the Royal Albert Hall concert, although the one that was widely bootlegged was actually recorded in Manchester. But I love that one. Like I think that's probably my favorite live album, and I like the Rolling Thunder review stuff of the '70s too. So that's good. I'm just trying to think if there's any other
like,
live
Last
albums
Waltz.
Last Waltz is fine. Again, for me, it's more like the movie aspect of it. I mean,
I was just
we
gonna
went
say
and
that
saw
about
Stop
Dylan.
Making Sense,
Yeah.
a couple months ago when it was in theaters, and I love that movie.
Right.
Sure.
But
it's rare that I put on the live
Exactly.
album.
I was going to say that about Dylan too. Like I really like watching the live footage of when he's got the weird white face paint and stuff. And
yeah.
I like that, but just listening to the recordings, I'm not as into.
Towns Van Zandt live at the
There
Old
you go.
Quarter.
That's one. That again, maybe
heard
his
it?
best.
His best album. Yeah.
Yep.
And that one's fantastic.
I'm sure I've mentioned this before, but Drop Dead Live by the Lunatics.
Wow.
It's really good.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, I got a soft spot. I got a soft spot for the Simon and Garfunkel concert in Central Park.
Oh, see, now that's one of my least favorites. Actually,
And so I think this is my theory with live albums. I think it's
my
kind
theory
of,
is Mike Love eats dog food.
well, there's
No,
that.
that's not a theory. That's just fact.
But I think there's a heartstring, there's a nostalgia that's put into it that
It's a context.
if in context, if that brings you back to something, and I think that's what the Beach Boys are at here. I think they're at the point where
Why are you bringing this back to the Beach Boys already? I want to dig into this Simon and Garfunkel Central Park. One of the things I don't like about that is that they had all these great, like keyboard sounds and stuff in the 60s where they're using, classic vintage organs and shit. And then that 80s one is just like so cheesy, synthy, FM or AM light rock radio.
Yeah. And I think it's because that was the album that was on repeat for me in high school when I was, I don't know, I got it at the
going through your
library or
rebellious
something.
phase.
Slater Kinney live in Paris is pretty good.
Mom and Dad don't get me. I'm gonna listen to Simon and Garfunkel's 1985
Back off!
classic.
I'm the only living boy in New York.
Hey.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I am a rock.
I think some
I am
people...
an island.
I'm the boxer.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've got my books and my poetry to protect me.
Stop making fun of me.
I fucking love that song, by the way. It's one of my favorite songs. But I can picture young Glenn moping in his bedroom listening to the vastly inferior Live at Central Park version of that.
I had stopped listening to you two until I heard the Mockery, and then I jumped in on the Mockery.
That's cool.
Sorry
Thanks.
about that.
Thanks.
I was thinking, of other ones like Slater Kinney's Live in Paris is pretty good. Lunatics, Slater Kinney, The Who. I do like Live Evil, not the Sabbath one, but the
Miles
Davis one.
Yeah, well, and that's kind of one of those things where it's all just stuff that's not on other albums, right?
I think so.
Sometimes those have a lot of value. Like Charles Mingus never recorded a studio version of one of his very best songs, Meditations on Integration, but it's on 2 or 3 of his live albums. And it's like, yeah, you got to have that because it's fucking phenomenal.
There's got to be some punk stuff.
The Clash have a serviceable live. It's not a single concert one. From Here to Eternity, that's fine.
I figured the hardcore 1979, 80 LA stuff would just be fun to listen to. Everything in the Decline of Western Civilization documentary, those live performances are really cool and interesting, even though they suck. The Germs. You can't even hear Darby, or he's just slurring so bad. But there's so much audience interaction and energy.
The Black Flag ones are okay.
Really? Okay.
But I don't know. We're just talking. This is a live album.
Yeah, we don't have a lot to say about this one.
Yeah. Well, so I think there's a couple of distinctions that can be made. I think if you're talking about artistry, there's some jazz performances. Yeah. The Allman Brothers. There's some just crazy solos in some of their live albums. Right. But I think there's also I got a buddy who is just into live music. And so he loves listening. He'd prefer to listen to a live album than a studio album. And I think it's just I think maybe there's a personal preference thing.
Is he a jam band guy?
No. Okay. But he goes to see everything. He'll go to, he's probably at a concert right now. Okay. He's always doing that.
Is he into
at 3:30 in the afternoon?
Well, I don't know.
Is he into bootleg trading and stuff like that?
No, not exactly. Okay. Of course, he has billions of CDs. His house is just full.
There's a lot of good. Obviously, Grateful Dead, Fish.
Yeah, there's that kind of stuff, right?
Ween. There's a lot of good live Ween stuff out there.
Fishman's live album.
Fishman's, yes.
That
they
do a
good.
whole performance of
not
season.
Fish.
Mm-hmm.
No, Fishman's.
Fishman's. Right.
Yeah, that's a really, really good live album.
But I think even maybe for him, I think because it stirs up some of those memories, and I think not to bring it back again to the Beach Boys, but I think that's what is happening here, and I think to some extent there's Capitol is knocking and saying, hey, crank out a bunch of stuff. We need something.
But this isn't Capitol.
This isn't, but that's the first 2 albums that they keep eking it out.
Oh, I see.
And I think at this point, I think the Beach Boys are realizing or thinking oh, well, maybe there is something to be had for a live experience. And, we have a lot of these songs that people love, but they haven't heard live. And
yeah, I don't remember the context as far as they needed to put something out for money or whatever, but this is very much they've really kind of come into their own as this almost like a post Brian Wilson band.
Right.
And they're really good performers, and they're actually doing really well on tour. People are coming to see them. They're playing a lot, but they're getting to play new songs. They have the sort of oldies that they do as encores, but they get to play. They're playing all their '70s stuff, and
and there's
having
that
a good time.
There's that revitalization after Holland, and there's a lot of we even mentioned this in our last podcast in the Netherlands.
Nirvana
they were
Unplugged. That's
Oh,
pretty much a
duh.
classic,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay, yeah. Sorry, keep going.
Hey,
I'm
jeez.
just gonna throw a few in there while you're
Jeez.
talking.
Money
Go
Banks
ahead.
of the Wish Car is pretty good too. Anyway,
God, I lost my. I don't know.
well,
but
it's the resurgence after Holland. Like they went through this rough patch, and they're kind of finding their feet again. And here, they're almost at their peak.
who's
their powers?
the leader of the band at this point?
Carl for sure.
So this is Carl's band.
Yeah.
That he's out touring.
and they got Blondie and Ricky with them.
Blondie and Ricky are with them.
No Brian.
Brian's. Where is Brian?
I don't know. I assume he moved back to L.A. at this point.
Is he in bed?
I think he's still in a bathrobe somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah. So, he's gone, and so now this is like, what are the Beach Boys now?
OC's live in San Francisco. That's really good.
Never heard it.
Really
Never heard of San Francisco.
good. Great live band. Sorry, go ahead.
Woodstock.
Brian's in
Woodstock
bed.
album is pretty good. Brian's in a bathrobe. This is Carl. Yeah, this is Carl's.
And so I think if we look back at the Beach Boys concert, that was Brian's band.
Yeah.
And this is now the Beach Boys in concert. This is now Carl's band.
Right.
And, it's a different decade. Style is different.
It's Carl's band, Carl and the Passions, right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I mean, basically, yeah.
Essentially, isn't it? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so we have musicianship going here. I mean, to Carl's credit, you alluded to it earlier. There's not as much of this Mike Love, idiocy, creeping in.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's because maybe Carl runs a tighter ship.
Well,
One thing I like is it was quite a while till Mike Love even made his presence felt on this album.
and his mic is mixed so low right there, right before
Way to
Surfer
go,
Girl.
good Carl.
Yeah.
Good job,
I
good
think part of
Carl.
what it is too, though, is if you look at the track listing, like there's only one or two instances of back-to-back songs from the same concert. So this is like a patchwork of 4 or 5 different
Curtis
shows.
Mayfield live. That's a good album.
okay.
Sorry.
So I think in the editing process, like maybe it was Carl's decision, but like there was maybe just less freedom to
Nina
like,
Simone in concert.
let them.
How could I forget that
Let
one?
them
That's
chit
Mississippi
chat,
Goddamn.
or it'd be easier to get rid of that stuff when you're pasting together all these different shows,
Right.
But regardless of the reason, like it's the most tolerable live album just because you don't hear Mike
Yes.
flapping his lips all the time.
And there's a good selection of songs here. It doesn't feel like they've got a massive repertoire by now of gems, Brian Wilson gems. And here now we can kind of pick the ones that work, and we don't. It's not as filler inducing. Whereas like some of the earlier concerts, it's like we got to play Papa Oom Mau Mau, and we got to Mike's got to yuck it up.
People are clamoring for Monster Mash.
Well, both of those things are more like Mike really wants to play those songs. It's not that we have to play these songs.
Yeah, maybe.
Like,
But and I think maybe Brian wasn't able to stand up as much, and maybe he was a little bit more tight-reined, but somehow Mike weaseled in.
I mean,
don't know.
Brian was never really into the live performance thing all that much.
Right.
So
So I think maybe Mike felt like he had to step in and do
Right.
more.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
now it's clear that Carl's like, I got this.
Well, what I meant
Back
to do and didn't have time to do was to look up, I don't know, like the original set list for these concerts or see if there's any recordings, because I feel like Mike is probably still being an obnoxious dumbass and it just got edited out. But I don't know. Maybe.
Sure.
Because he does the one thing that he does say.
Oh, Sam Cooke live at Harlem Square.
You shut up.
Oh, that's
The
classic.
one thing that he does say is like, he says, for you oldies but moldies fans.
Yeah.
And then he says, like, the lyrics were found on a tablet in a field in Hawthorne, California. So he's still making stupid jokes.
Well, he's still a stupid
He's
person.
still a dumbass, yeah.
Hey, wait a minute. Sounds like it's time for an episode of Heroes and Villains.
What?
All right, Heroes and Villains. We're discussing heroes and the villains, whatever it is we happen to be talking about this week. And this week we're talking about the Beach Boys in concert.
concert.
Yeah. All right. Hero?
Whoever made the decision to edit out Mike Love.
Yeah.
Yeah, his chatter. His,
Good
banter.
Carl. Good Carl.
Probably Carl.
Yeah, I'm going to go with this theory that that Carl runs a tight ship.
Yeah.
I like the imagery of that as well too. Him, wearing a little captain's hat and being like, "All right, come on, everybody."
And the only other banter
Work harder.
is him talking about Caroline No, I think, right?
Yeah, he talks about how he thinks Brian wrote it with Tony Asher.
Yeah. So he's the only one speaking, really, other than that little snippet of Mike. So let's say Carl's the hero for sure.
Good Carl's been a hero for a little while.
He really has, yeah.
Ed Carter on bass. There's some tasty bass lines in here. Made me miss Brian, but
Nick Carter?
Ed Carter.
Oh, I don't know who that is.
Ron Carter.
He was the
He's
touring
actually a
bassist.
bass player.
Welcome back, Cotter.
I do love Ron Carter.
Yeah.
One of my upright heroes.
Is Daryl Dragon on this?
I don't think so.
Good.
No.
I'm so fucking tired of talking about Daryl
captain?
Dragon. Yeah. He's not the captain. Good Carl's the captain.
Right.
All right, villain.
It's hard to say. When you think about it, maybe it's the person who gave Dennis that haircut. It's Mike.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mike.
Always and forever the villain.
Always and
There's
forever.
a specific reason that we're going to get into, I think, in just a minute. But let's take a break, and we're going to come back and talk a little bit about the A side here of Beach Boys in concert.
Yeah, okay.
And we're back on Talking Down the Highway. We're looking at the Beach Boys in concert. We're going to talk about the A side. And before we get to the A side, I am struck by Dennis's haircut.
Right. I mentioned this a second ago.
It is.
I
but
thought that was John Fogerty on the cover.
Dennis's haircut. Wait a minute. Sounds like it's time for an episode of Sound of Vision. All right, Sound of Vision, where we discuss all things aesthetic using scale provided to us by David Bowie. Glenn, if we really like something, we call it a...
It's low.
It's low, David Bowie's masterpiece. That's right. And Tim, if we don't like something, we call it a...
Never let me down.
In which David Bowie definitely let us down.
Damn it.
Definitely let us down. And if it's somewhere in the middle, we got a comfortable middle ground. We call it Let's Dance.
Let's dance.
Okay, so if I'm rating just Dennis's haircut, I give it a low.
What? Do you remember how the scale works?
Oh, yeah.
He totally looks like John Fogerty.
Yeah.
Dude, this is just the cover is disturbing. It's like
the
washed out.
It's like the worst cover I think of theirs.
It looks like a satanic cult.
Right.
Like, is this the
That
cult
would be
you were in?
more interesting.
It's a canted angle. The only band member you can see is allegedly Dennis or John Fogerty just warming up the crowd. And then a sea of faces in red light. And then with the record label logo, like, hovering in the middle with the name of the
Is that
the
like
record.
a projection? What is the
I don't know. I don't think so.
It's like it's bizarre.
They're conjuring a demon.
Yeah, something. It looks
Man
it
on the
looks like
horse.
some
Anyway,
not good stuff's happened. And then the back cover, poor Dennis is trying to find his pitch. He's plugging his ear because
Yep.
he's
oh, that's funny.
Well, he's trying to not be able to hear Mike Love.
Right.
that's what it is.
There is a picture, this is kind of surprising, of Mike Love without a hat on in his little featured
the
insert
back.
picture. Yeah. So that's something. Then you open up the gatefold.
It's like a roadie.
And you get some nice little pictures here. I mean, Carl looking like a fucking champ on the right side over there. With a little, like, I don't know. What do they call
denim
that? Just
shirt.
all of the different points of light on his guitar. It's
And
majestic, really.
Yeah, and Mike's wearing some kind of skirt
What? Yeah, he's like,
or like a
he looks like one
Like a
of those
cheerleader
fucking-
skirt.
No, it looks like a knight. Like
a
one of those-
Roman, like an armor, like a suit of
Yeah.
armor made out of tablecloth or something. Yeah.
No, he's trying to be true to his school. It's a cheerleader skirt.
Okay.
Well, I'd take that over this fucking abomination on the left side where he's not wearing a shirt.
Ooh.
I don't know what the fuck's going on with that.
I must have blocked that out of my memory. I'm not looking at it right now.
My favorite, Glenn, you brought this up when we were upstairs. This just random picture here where two guys.
Ricky Fatar is on the
Ricky sitting down.
And then some guy with an 8-ball for a head?
Yeah.
Yeah, what is that?
Is it one of the residents?
You got a question? Talk to the 8-ball.
That's right, Seinfeld.
Never Let Me Down.
Is that the bad one? Yeah, Never Let Me Down. I think it's the
pretty bad.
worst. I think it's the worst one.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's worse. I think there's
okay with
worse,
that.
but it's you know,
It seems fair.
yeah.
All right.
It's a soft Never Let Me Down.
Good episode.
Good episode.
Yeah.
Solid.
All right, A-side? Is it time?
I mean, there's 4
Yeah.
sides. I don't know if you need to go through this
yeah,
whole
yeah.
fucking thing.
Maybe
Any
we-
standouts? Any standouts?
I think we should pick highlights. And
Okay,
talk about
let's-
highlights.
And
highlights.
lowlights. I mean, we're not just
yeah,
here
yeah,
for highlights. We got to have some
Sure,
lowlights,
sure.
too.
So, I mean-
I've got notes on probably 2/3 of the tracks, but
Okay.
they're quick notes, I think. So.
I have no notes.
I have no
I just
notes.
have a couple mental notes.
All right, I got nothing until the 3rd song. So if you guys got anything on the
Oh, well, my overall note was going to be that, like, and this is part of the reason I really should have looked up actual set lists, is because this, I think, is a great order overall, the sequencing for, like, listening to this in your living room, but it seems a little weird for a concert. I mean, The Traitor, like, if these are people if they're not keeping up with the material, and they hear, you know, Sail On Sailor, which maybe they're not as familiar with, they get a little Sloop John B, but then this song that is kind of catchy, but then it just goes on and on and on. Like, if that's the first time you're hearing The Traitor, I don't know if you're necessarily going to love it. And then just from there, it's like kind of a weird mix of songs and moods.
Yeah, it does. It just jumps all over the place.
It does, but like I said, it's patchwork from like 4 or 5 different shows. So that's someone sequenced this very intentionally, and I think it's a good order, like I said, for a record.
Okay.
But a weird set list for a concert.
Yeah, just that momentum would be weird. Okay, yeah.
But what's your thought on The Traitor? Track
I
3?
just think it's too fast in this version.
okay.
It loses some of that ethereal, atmospheric quality of the really, really great studio version that we
Yeah.
talked about last week.
That's true. I don't know if I noticed the tempo necessarily, but yeah. California Girls. I think they did pretty well.
I got one for the one. We'll keep going in order.
yeah, you're right. I missed
You
that
still
one.
believe in me? My only note here is Al ain't Brian.
Is that Al singing?
Yeah, yeah, and he just ain't Brian. I mean, nice try, Al. Or sorry, nice try, Alan.
Alan
as
Jardine.
it says here on the back of the record.
Gigi
Alan
Allen.
Jardine. But yeah, he ain't Brian. You really notice there in a really, really personal, the first one, for really, really personal Brian song.
Yeah.
You really feel his absence there.
Yeah. But I still enjoyed hearing it live in a different setting.
I didn't say it's bad. It's just, you know.
Yeah.
I also want to point out that 2 of the concerts this is taken from are pulled from venues that have the word mosque in the title. This one was recorded at the Syria Mosque in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
All right.
And there's another one just called The Mosque in Richmond, Virginia. So there's kind of a weird theme there.
Interesting. All right.
That's
cool.
California Girls.
I feel like they did a decent job with the little intro. I mean, I don't know if
Yeah.
it goes quite as long as the album, but that's like kind of the cool part that leads into the song itself. I think it's good. Darlin', that's another Blondie. There's 2 Blondies
Rockin'.
right here on the first side.
Blondie sings on Darlin'?
Oh, I'm sorry. No, that's Carl.
Yeah, that's good Carl's song.
Yeah.
Blondie better not be singing that. Look, Blondie, you're bringing something. You open the whole thing up with Sail on Sailor. But
Right.
yeah,
I
Darlin'
think
is
in the past-
Carl's territory.
Before the timeline was really solid in my head, like before the podcast, I probably thought Darlin' was a Blondie.
All right. So Darlin' opens up the last live album that we talked about, and that version is fucking great. They're just
okay.
like shot out of a cannon. It's like, yeah, all right. It's like way faster than the album version, but you got that great horn section and everything. I think that one kills this one.
Yeah.
This one's fine, but yeah, like that one.
That one is definitely the definitive recording.
From Live in London.
Yeah,
that one's
Live in-
great. Great.
Yeah. So let's, I guess, are we doing 2 sides
Yeah,
at a
yeah, yeah.
time?
B side starts with Marcella. I'm a fan.
Lame.
You guys don't like it.
I don't
but
like it that
back
much,
off.
but I mean, I know this version is regarded, at least by this Carlin guy who wrote this book, as better than the album one, or more interesting. or
It's just
something.
more
No, that's fine.
rockin'.
more rockin'.
It's alive.
Yeah.
I think it fits. I would love to hear this performance. I'd be fun to be there.
And then Caroline No is the next one. This is the one that Carl introduces as he says pretty definitively this is written by Brian Wilson and I think Tony Asher.
Yeah.
He's not sure about Tony, but it's true.
It is true. It is.
I think he does a good job with it. I mean, Carl's singing on this whole thing is pretty good.
My note on this one is lovely.
Lovely.
The flute or recorder, whatever they're doing there, is a nice touch. It really kind of fits in with that early 70s, like kind of funk, even like blaxploitation.
There's one
sound.
coming up that definitely
There definitely is. Yeah, we'll get to there. But yeah, this was like the first place I noticed that. I was like, you know what? Yeah, this is a nice take. And yeah, you'd like to hear Brian singing it, but we know that wasn't really possible. So,
Well, and I also like that this is. It feels like we finally are getting a chance to see what the Beach Boys have done with Brian's studio magic and
there's
genius.
some really interesting.
Yeah,
choices.
it's cool to see kind of a take on that and see what this might be like on the road.
This is the other Blondie one, Leaving This Town.
Leaving this town. This is on Holland.
Is this the one? Is this the one that has the crazy keyboard solo?
Dude,
it's got a really, really extended instrumental.
Yeah.
This is the one. This is the song that got me just leaning into the whole live versus original because I was like, this grabbed my attention in a way that the studio version never grabbed my attention. I was like, oh my gosh, was it like this on Holland? Like I went back to re-listen to Holland back to back after hearing Munoz's organ here. Well, Carly Munoz on organ here.
Was it Munoz or was it Hinch? Because there's 3 different keyboard players on here, including Dennis.
But it's pretty clearly an organ solo.
Okay, is that what Munoz plays?
Munoz is listed as organ.
Okay.
I don't know. They misspelled Carly's name though. It's Carli, but in the album it's with a Y. But
that's
whatever.
Funny. Oh, so on the album it says organ.
Yeah.
Okay. Because on Wiki it just says keyboards.
So I don't know. I'm assuming it's Carly Munoz. Hey, Al, could you let us know?
Yeah. Hey. That's right. You can call us, Al.
Yeah, let us know.
Alan.
I'm pretty sure Alan. This was Carly Munoz. He traveled. Was part of the touring act in the 70s. But
Alan will let us know.
Alan will let us know.
He always comes through. We appreciate it.
But like this, on Holland, it's the instrumental is like a synth, and it's all right. But just it's ripping.
This live
version.
I didn't expect to hear something like that on one of these songs, and
it's totally proggy.
I think this is the only one on here. Not to spoil everything, but I think it's the only one that's definitively better than its studio version.
I would agree with that. And so that's what got me thinking about all of those. Like, how many? I think it's a rare feat to have a live version supersede the original studio. Like, can you think of any off the top of your heads where
you just talked about that live version of Darlin'. That you just, I think, called it the definitive take. And I don't know that I'd necessarily go that far, but it's pretty fucking great. I mean, there's definitely some live versions.
Barbara Ann for the Beach Boys.
Oh, for the Beach Boys?
Barbara Ann from Party
okay.
is, I think, better than...
Sure, but it's also live in the studio. Yeah,
that's the only one that they recorded.
Well...
and we already talked about that. It's not really a live album.
Yeah, okay.
I know there are examples of what you're talking about, but I can't think of any right now.
But this was the song that got me down that rabbit hole, thinking, Folsom Prison.
Maybe
Johnny Cash's Folsom Prison.
Is there better. A studio version of "Do You Feel Like I Do" by Peter Frampton? Because the live one, that's the bad one. Smashing Pumpkin stole my pig, or whatever. Anyway.
Anyways, there's that one.
Yeah, that one's good. This next one was the eye opener for me.
Heroes and Villains.
They do some stuff with Heroes and Villains here. This is just like a straightforward rock song.
It is, yeah. And I wrote in here like good pace, and I think it's a highlight.
It works. Yeah. It's weird, but yeah. But this is, I think, what you were talking about, Glenn. How they take something that Brian wrote, and he had his own sort of intentions behind certain songs, and this one is like. It's that same material, but with just a completely different feel. It's not meant to evoke, Americana necessarily. It's just like a rock song. And I don't know. Carl made it work. I assume he's the one that kind of rearranged it. And I like it. It's surprising. This is kind of the type of thing where, like I said about Dylan, usually bothers me when they really change a song or he's, you go your way and I go mine kind of thing. But yeah, I like this one.
Yeah. I thought it kicked a little bit of ass, which is not normally what you say about Heroes and Villains. It's usually like, oh, you're marveling at the intricacies of the production of it. Whereas here it's like, oh, it's fucking kind of a jam.
Yeah.
And I think if you take that approach and think of this as this is Carl's band covering Brian's Brian's writing songs, then maybe that gives a little more freedom, so you don't have to too much clutch your pearls over the originals not being whatever.
And and it's like the people going to see them probably aren't like necessarily, I hope they play heroes and villains.
Right.
So it's just
like people were fucking lame. Like most people who continue to go to Beach Boys.
But they're just trying to entertain at this point. So
yeah. Well, hey, that would theoretically cover disc one, but there's this weird thing of the 1970s where apparently everybody had those little record changers. So technically, disc
side one and side four.
Side one and side four.
Was that this one or was that? I thought that was Endless Summer.
Both of them.
Both. Okay.
Yeah, both of them do that.
Was that like just an early 70s thing?
Yeah, because you had those record changers that would like drop the one and then you just flip the stack or whatever.
Yeah. Side 1 and 4 were on one, and then 2 and 3 were on the other. Yeah. I have a Zappa one like that. Yeah.
Yeah. It was the thing at the time. Basement tapes and stuff like that, which every time I go to listen to that, I just flip over the record and I'm like, oh, fuck. And then we'll start with side B. Yeah. Right. Anyway, so, let's take a quick break and we'll come back and talk about sides C and D here.
We're back talking about the Beach Boys in concert in the 70s, cop shows, Superfly, that kind of stuff going on.
My note says theme from Shaft.
Theme from Shaft. Yeah. Shaft is popular. So track 1 on this third side is Funky Pretty.
Shut your mouth!
Who is the man who went bald at the age of 21?
Love.
Can you dig it?
It's funny though, because this starts out with the guitar scratching, like total, 70s whatever, but it doesn't really maintain through the whole song.
No, it just turns into a fucking mess because this song sucks. I'm sorry. I tried last week to be like, yeah, Funky Pretty's fine.
Actually, I like it more than I did last week because it popped into my head one day. I was like, I do like that song.
It shows up in your head, but I don't know. Like this version of it is just a fucking mess. Like, and again, and maybe it's just highlighted by the fact that it starts off kind of cool. Like, oh, okay, they're playing Shaft. Cool.
It would have been interesting if they
forward thinking here. Way to go, boys.
Yeah.
It's just a mess of a song. I don't know. It's just weird, awkward.
How do you feel about Let the Wind Blow?
I put a nice surprise.
Yeah.
And not that I don't like the song. I was surprised that they literally performed it.
Right. That's the same word I had actually was surprise. Like, yeah, this is cool. Mm-hmm. Didn't expect that.
Yeah.
And I think they do it pretty well.
Yeah, that's one of my little favorite hidden gems of that Post Smile trilogy that we have expressed so much fondness for.
Yeah. Yeah.
That got me thinking, like, what would you make if you could make a live set list? What would be the songs that you would want to hear? I feel like there's a handful of them here.
Yeah.
That I think they did. Song selection, I think, is good. I appreciate the song selection.
What I really wanted to hear was, but
I was hoping for Shutdown Part 2. Yeah, just that part.
Part 2.
Yeah, Volume 2, whatever. Right.
That's the album.
The instrumental.
Well, I was hoping they were going to play
a song though called that.
I was hoping they were going to play our favorite recording sessions,
Bull Session,
or Bull Sessions with the Big Daddy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They never play "I'm Bugged at My Old Man." That really bothers me. Yeah, it is good song selection. Then you got "Help Me Rhonda" here, which is another kind of throwback. You don't think it's any good? I don't have any specific memory of this
arrangement of the song.
I don't have any specific
I
reaction to this.
I hated this
Tell
one.
me how you really feel.
I just did, Glenn.
I feel that way. I mean, a lot of the classics or whatever on here, I didn't pay that very close attention to.
Well, so I thought you would have had something. I was certain you were going to have something to say about this one because this is them like completely revamping a song in a way that Dylan, would revamp his folk songs in the Rolling Thunder Review
I
era.
guess I expect that for the really old ones, and
it's just like this
so
weird
I'm just kind of like I just kind of write them off.
And of course, there's also the big problem that just Al wasn't singing it sexy enough.
Was he singing from the heart?
From the heart.
He might have been singing from the heart, but it just was not very sexy.
Treble up.
Yeah. So that was really disappointing for me. That the sexiness quotient was.
Help me, Rhonda.
Yeah, I mean, come on, Al. You have one job, and that one job is to sing it sexy, and you didn't do that. Oh, well, you know what? I realized why Al wasn't singing it sexy. I just put this all together. You know what happened on June 4th, 1973?
What? Oh, Murray Wilson.
Wilson died.
Ooh.
And this is in September of 73.
Yeah. So Al or Alan no longer had that encouragement from Murray Wilson.
That whisper over his shoulder
to sing it sexy.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. Man, this I could tell that there wasn't enough trouble in this.
I'm bummed now.
The other guys had no reaction at all to his stats. Clearly. Well, we'll get to that. Maybe.
What'd you think of Surfer Girl?
It has the stupid Mike Love introduction, but at least he doesn't make any weird sexual jokes toward the audience. And the song itself, I think it's fine. Yeah. I don't really remember too much.
It was true to the original. It's kind of jarring, just in the sense that, I mean, yes, technically they just played an earlier song, but that one was very much revamped, whereas this one's kind of more or less a straightforward take on the original version of it. But it's fine. I mean, the harmonies were nice. They can still sing.
The next one, Wouldn't It Be Nice? I like the crowd reaction to that intro. Like they realize, oh, we like this song. Like after 2 seconds. Yeah. And then I think it's a decent version. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was one of the better takes. It actually has like the highest score on the Rate Your Music.
Okay.
Too, a 4.2.
Yeah, it's got a good vocal performance, I think. Okay. Well, so now to side D. Side 4. So this opener, We Got Love, this is the one that was bumped off of Holland in favor of Sail On Sailor. This is the Blondie Chaplin song.
I say good move, because this song was fucking lame.
I don't mind it. I think it's fine. I mean, it's fine live song. Oh, geez. Fill out the live set. I think it's okay. I do think it sounds, I don't know which came first. The verse kind of sounds like a slowed down Goodbye Stranger by Supertramp.
Goodbye Stranger.
But not that part, just the early morning yesterday, not before the dawn.
I heard
there's another part to that song.
Yeah.
I heard this song was inspired by a ransom note they received.
Really?
A Manson note?
A ransom note that somebody had kidnapped Mike, and we got love.
Oh, I get jokes.
I get it. That's good. I like it. We got love, and they're like,
Keep them,
like
take them,
and what are you asking? Like, thank you. Yeah,
I think
we were trying to turn him over to Charles Manson, and even Manson wouldn't take him. So thanks.
Yeah, I don't have a negative reaction to this song.
6.5 minutes of lame.
It's 5.5 minutes.
It literally says right here on Rate Your Music 6.5 minutes.
Well, on Wiki it says 5:25.
There must be a lot of talking or something that isn't on Wiki accounted for.
Don't Worry Baby is the next one. I think it's a good version. I don't really remember.
I have a note here.
Okay.
Look, Gacarl.
Oh, right.
We love you.
You can't match Brian's
and Gacarl. I'm going to admit, we have made a mistake. A 4.5 should be a Carl.
Yeah.
We were wrong. And part of the process of discovery that has happened in now 26 episodes of this podcast is coming to the realization that Carl is better than Dennis.
Yes.
He just is. Sorry, Glenn. I know you adore Dennis Wilson.
I love me some Dennis.
And I get that. Dennis is a charmer. Hey. But Gacarl.
Yeah, Gacarl's great.
Gacarl should be the 4.5. Dennis should be the 4.
Carl has overall more value.
Yeah. And I am officially, even though we're going to continue to honor the system,
right.
I really, really, truly feel that Gacarl is our mark of a 4.5.
And you came to this realization on Don't Worry Baby?
I've come to this realization. We've talked about this now for several episodes, but I'm just going to say this version reminds us that a 4.5 ain't a 5.
Yeah.
And Carl, he's got a lovely voice. I mean, he sang lead on my literal favorite Beach Boys song.
God only knows.
Yeah.
Yep.
But he just can't really handle those high harmonies.
who
He's like
can?
he's really really
You know who
grasping.
can?
Maybe one of the best Brian recordings. Yeah.
Brian's performance on this is legendary, and it just again emphasizes, that this isn't the real full Beach Boys. They're doing a good job of it, but Carl and the Passions are, Carl and the Passions. But good job, Carl.
Yeah.
We love you. But yeah,
Let's see.
not Brian.
Right. And now we go into some crowd pleasers, I guess.
I have another note
Oh. On this or which one?
for Surfing USA.
Surfing USA.
My note is, this guy's still in the band.
Is it because of Mike doing lead?
This is the first time that he really, really, on a song, makes his presence abundantly clear.
Wow, we're like in the
For the
65th minute.
last
Yeah.
3 songs.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh yeah, here he is. Which, hey, nice.
Sweet, great.
Well done, Carl. Way to keep him.
That
keep
just
him
bumped it up
at bay. Yeah.
in my book. Yeah.
And it's funny that they put the two like most obvious Chuck Berry influences almost right back to back. They have almost the exact same intro, but that's fine. But yeah, Surfing USA, whatever, it's fine.
It's a fine version.
Yeah.
It's all right.
Good Vibrations is the next one, and I think it's a good performance, but it bothers the hell out of me that they didn't use the same Moog slidey thing to emulate the theremin, because this is just like some crappy sounding synth.
Yep, that's my note.
Yeah.
Don't like the theremin replacement.
Right.
Yeah, it's stupid,
Yeah.
and I hate it.
Didn't they end up just traveling with the theremin? Like,
They did in the 60s,
Yeah.
but then now they're like, oh, well, who needs all that kind of...
We got a synthesizer.
Who needs the
And-
Tannerin,
well,
this one-of-a-kind instrument?
I mean, it
We don't
wasn't
wanna
even-
haul that thing around.
And it wasn't even, that. It was, they had
Stupid,
this
cheesy
literal...
fucking synth.
Well, but they had this tiny little thing that Moog made specially for them with a little strip.
Yeah.
That's what they used on
yeah,
for
yeah.
live performances. This, though, I do think is better than the... is it London? Or
It's only better than that one just because Mike
Right.
doesn't keep talking
Right.
through it.
And
right.
and they don't try to get anyone clapping their hands until the part where it slows down a little bit. Like there isn't that awkward tempo change that he awkwardly points out.
And dearly beloved, we're gonna...
Yeah,
he
yeah,
doesn't
yeah.
do
No,
that
it just
shit.
it just goes. It's just a more solid playthrough. So
That's fine.
yeah.
It is a tough song to pull off
Sure.
live,
Yeah, yeah.
obviously. But
That Ed Sullivan performance, I think, is really solid though, from way back. Yeah. Final track is fun.
Ed Sullivan performed it?
Yeah, yeah. It's
Damn. Like
surprising.
all of the parts by himself?
He had like the bass drum on his back, and the cymbals on his under his knees. Yeah, he did the whole one man band.
Real good show.
Yeah. Wait, we're doing Nixon. What the fuck? Anyway. Fun is the closer. I don't remember.
Nixon was having a little bit of a time in 1973.
He wasn't having
but
fun.
Nixon was not having fun in 73. It's really 74 that he ends up resigning. But it was a 73. I should know this.
Actually, yeah, I'm not sure. I think it was 74.
In 74, so
I think it was
70 minutes and 1 second.
See, this is 75:49. So something
Glenn,
is not matching up here.
Do not interrupt an episode of our new show, Nixon Notes. It's time to talk Nixon.
You know what's a good live album?
Hey.
Oh.
Literally. Just hold on.
Oh, Alice's Restaurant, actually.
Oh, yeah.
That's the same length as the Nixon tape, the part that got
Eight and a
erased.
half minutes.
Jay-Z's
So it's like
Unplugged.
it's like 18 minutes, actually.
Jay-Z's MTV Unplugged is really good, too.
So yeah, Nixon resigned when?
He resigned in August of 74.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just
Shortly after
just
Murray's
a
death.
disgrace.
Or wait, no, Murray
No,
was
it was like
73.
over a year after
Yeah,
his
yeah,
death. Yeah. Good episode of Nixon Talk. It was a little disrupted by the fact that you guys kept trying to talk about the Beach Boys, but
Harlow Guthrie also. Okay, yeah. Fun. I have no memory of how this rendition sounds. Whatever.
it's all right.
But
I don't have a note on it.
right.
I got
So-
tired of it.
Bill Evans Trio, Waltz for Debbie. Great
I don't
live
know what that
album.
is. So I guess I guess we just kind of rated at this point, but before we do, I just want to point out that this did really well for them as far as the reception. Like, it hit number 25. It was their first gold record since the 1966 Best of album. It was their best chart position since Wild Honey. And this was like them on the upswing. We kind of talked about that context going into it, but this is, if anything, their popularity on the road and the popularity of this is kind of what led to the next one.
Well, and that's the thing
momentum.
the thing about this live album is that they cranked out so many albums, and in some of them they were in obscurity, and so they didn't get a lot of mainstream recognition. So I think for a lot of people, they're familiar with the Beach Boys, but maybe they haven't followed them or haven't gotten every album. And so I think this comes at a time where they're like, oh yeah, I love those songs. I don't recognize these. Mm-hmm. Looks like there's some new material here that I haven't heard before. I'm going to get this album.
And did live albums just sell better back in the day?
I don't know.
Because like it seems weird. Like, oh, the Beach Boys put out another live album. I better get that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's weird, but it did sell well. So
yeah. I mean, as evidenced by the fact that Glenn and I both easily found cheap copies of it at used record stores.
And sell or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, it's a little, capsule of the Blondie Ricky era, like this weird little interim period for them after, the end of the golden years.
Right.
And before they get redirected into becoming something very, very different, which we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
And it is just this weird little period in 72, 73, where they are kind of this different band, and I'd prefer for them to be called Carl and the Passions or whatever. But this is just sort of like, here's the third set of stuff that you get from that band, and because this band basically ends, right? I mean,
right.
Blondie
and I was
and
going to
Ricky
say
are out.
It's kind of sad because, I mean, whether or not they're truly the Beach Boys, I do really like this era, and this is absolutely the end of that era.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and it's
Blondie and
a
Ricky
live documentation of it happening in real time, and the next thing they just fall into nostalgia after this.
I think this is the best live Beach Boys album.
I do too. I'd have to go back and really listen to Live in London more carefully, but
I think we can all agree that the first one is objectively trash.
Yeah,
yes,
garbage,
bad.
I actually think I prefer the Live in London one, just because
you're wrong.
It's adjacent to an era of the band that I just really, really love, and that I really, really think is underrated. And they're playing a lot of like stuff from that. Darlin' is a new song at that point, and they're like basically road testing it, and you've got I don't know, Wake the World, which I really like that version on there. Yeah. They're doing that Pet Sounds stuff close-ish to Pet Sounds, and it feels it's good. I like it.
They have a little orchestra with them too.
Yeah,
they've got like horns and strings.
Yeah. Like I think I like that just because I like that era of them more. Despite the fact that maybe the track listing is weaker on that. It's got that horrible Bluebirds Over the Mountain, which I can't stand, and it's got Their Hearts Were Full of Spring, in which Mike Love is making really weird jokes to 14-year-old girls or whatever.
Yeah, Mike Love just spoils that one for me.
I mean, this one's a solid band sounding thing. Mike Love's obviously minimized on it, so that's good, but again, I kind of like that idea that Live in London is adjacent to an era of the band that just resonates for me more than the Blondie Ricky years do.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it's more Beach Boysy back then. For sure.
I'm going to give it the same rating that I gave that one, but
what was your
if I had to go with which one do I prefer, which one am I likely to put on more? It's Live in London. But yeah, I'll give both of them an Al.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to say. I was bordering on a Bruce just because like I do like this one, but I'm not gonna like throw it on for fun very often.
It's really, really inessential.
Yeah. So maybe a high Bruce. Mm-hmm. And maybe an Al. I'll give it an Al.
Yeah, I'd say it's a soft Al.
I gotta pull up the rating system. I don't know what our rating system is.
Stamos is above Manson. Is it Manson Stamos? Is above Mike.
I can't. I don't know. Yeah, I'll give it a Stamos. No. I don't know. Sure, I agree with you guys. That's the thing about this one is I'm just
it's utterly inessential.
It's inessential. No, I take it back. It is essential if you are into live albums.
Yeah.
And I think if you are into the Beach Boys and you're into live albums, this is the one to get. And I think
it's interesting. The trilogy of them is interesting to look at the progression and how different each version of the band is.
Yes. Yeah. And they aren't repeats. They are very right. They are very
each
their
one
own.
Is a document of their time period.
I'm giving it a solid Al.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
like an owl with some fiber.
An owl with some fiber. Yeah. Yes, that's what it is. A healthy owl.
Not an owl after a night of drinking.
No.
All right.
Yeah, there it is.
All right. Well, I'm going to say that this is the last Beach Boys live album that we're going to cover.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they have a bunch of other like archival ones, and then they had the contemporaneous 50th anniversary tour one that they did in 2013. But we'll discuss that briefly as we discuss the studio album that they put out at that time. But I'm content to say we're done talking about Beach Boys live albums.
Yeah, I hope. Yeah. I think we should be because, I mean, and is this even really the Beach Boys?
I mean, we're done talking about Carl and the Passions live albums.
Okay, all right.
Oh, wait, you're now the one taking that position that you were arguing with me so vehemently about last time. Yeah.
No, but I guess that's my point is that, again, if we're talking about these albums as snapshots of what they are at this time, that's what it is.
Folks, we've just established that Glenn is in fact a troll.
No, I am pointing out that as we go, there are some iterations of the quote unquote Beach Boys that are performing quote unquote live that we quote unquote recognize as quote unquote fake.
Can you just quote the whole thing?
Sorry, I don't know.
Yeah. All right, let's put, quote unquote, Glenn.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, let's take one more break and we'll come to wrap this one up. Wrapping it all up. All right.
Oh my gosh, Stamos really is a rating on our scale. I forgot about that. I thought you were just throwing it in there.
You made this.
I did. I made it. Okay. Forgot about that.
Anyway.
Wow. That's good.
I mean, I came up with the scale and you made the graphic, but
that's great.
I was wrong on the scale again.
Yeah. You messed it
I mean,
up.
on the face of thing, on the surface, Dennis seems cooler. He is cooler.
He's cooler.
Than
I mean, Carl's
Carl.
a geek, but so are we. So
yeah.
We're clearly not Beach Boys apologists. We're clearly, giving just our take on this situation.
I'm not an apologist of any.
Well,
any artist.
If you haven't figured that out yet, you have not been listening long enough. Talking Down the Highway, a Beach Boys podcast.
That's what we are.
Yeah.
Click, like, subscribe.
We are talking.
The YouTube
smash
apparently.
Smash a window.
That kind of stuff. Yeah.
Hurl a bricky mart.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, we're going to catch you next time when we're back to discuss
another album,
a
compilation album.
Yeah.
Yay. That'll be fun.
A summer that will not end. All right. Well, we'll catch you then.
Okay. Later.
Bye.